So I know it's been a quick minute since I made a video, so I figure let me kind of give you guys an update what's going on. I'll start with the Astra, because a lot of you guys seem to kind of be interested in that, and then we'll hop over to the garage, grab the Camaro, and I'll give you kind of a full plan for the rest of the year and going into next year. Yeah, so I've kind of been down with the flu for the last week or so. I'm just kind of now getting back to myself, at least waking up before 11 a.m. for like the first time. But yeah, I kind of been wanting to do an update video on the Astra and the Camaro, because I know a lot of guys seem to be interested in the Astra, probably more so than the Camaro. And I have done a lot to this car, so let me kind of just give you guys a walk around on it, show you the updates. We'll go for a little drive, and then I'll give you all the updates on the Camaro. For anybody who's new to the channel, this is my 2008 Saturn Astro. It's rebadged as an Opel, but it is in fact a Saturn. Now, I made a couple of videos on this car when I first got it. I did the detailing on it, and I installed the radio, but other than that, I really didn't have any desire to make any other videos. But that is gonna change next year, because this car seems to be another one of those things, kind of like the Tahoe, where a lot of guys, at least overseas, seem to have one, and they want to see more content on it. So I am going to bring that next year, whatever next project I decide to do on it. But yeah, a couple of things you'll notice right away. She's got some different wheels on her, and the headlights are no longer disgusting yellow and hazy, and I also went and took the black badges off. So when I originally got this, it had black painted Opel badges on it, so I just put the chrome ones back on. I restored the headlights. These are the original ones. I just used a headlight restoration kit, put some clear coat on them. And then these wheels I just put on like last month, along with a new set of tires. But we'll just start up front here. I'll go around the car and just kind of give you guys an update on everything I did. So up front, obviously, headlights are restored, swapped the badges out, and the car already has this Opel OPC grille on here. That came with the car, was already color matched. Bumper is the stock Saturn Astro bumper. I do plan to eventually completely convert this over to an OPC replica. So I want to get the bumpers, the side skirts, the spoiler for the hatch, the whole deal. But the other thing I did up here was have the bumper repainted. So I don't know if you remember when I got this thing, the clear coat, it's a common problem on these cars, at least with the Saturns. The clear coat just peels off the front of the bumper. So I had this taken to a guy. He did a freaking great job on it. He took it off the car, completely repainted it, and he also filled a crack that I had right down here. So he filled that in, painted the whole thing. Looks incredible, and it only cost me about 400 bucks, and it's like a perfect match. So I couldn't be happier with that. Coming around the back of the car, didn't really do much back here, aside from, once again, swap the black badge out for a stock chrome one, and then I put a new taillight in it, because this one had a crack in it, and there was a bunch of water and just moisture in there. Other than that, all I did was kind of buff the car, do a paint correction. So I don't think this car ever had a coat of wax on it in its life, because it was an absolute pain to bring the shine back. I mean, the car is filthy right now, but the top of the car in particular, it just had this haze over it, kind of this just yellowish tint to the clear coat. And I was here for a day and a half, just with a buffer, applying compound, just rubbing the hell out of it to get it off the car. The paint was so friggin' dry, it was just sucking up every little bit of compound that I put on it. Eventually, I got it to come out nice and shiny. I got the compound to buff off really good. I put a coat of wax on it, and I'm glad that part is behind me. But yeah, this paint was definitely not taken care of by whoever owned this thing previously. So jumping onto the wheels, these are Enkei Raijin, R-A-I-J-I-N, and they're not specifically made for this car, so they don't actually fit the Astra. This is a slightly off bolt pattern, and I used some wobble nuts. So being this car has wheel studs like a Volkswagen would have, not just regular lug nuts, I got these studs where they have kind of a floating washer. So even though the bolt pattern is off, and it was only off by I think like 2 millimeters, so I probably could have even got away without the washers or the wobble lug nuts. But yeah, these wheels, technically the bolt pattern isn't exact to the car. I think the wheels are 112 and the car is 115 or something like that. But yeah, those lug nuts made them fit. They look friggin' great, and they are a 1/2 inch wider than the original wheels, but they are pretty much a factory size wheel option. So this car originally had 17s on it. The larger option for the Astra was an 18 by 7.5, I believe. These are 18s by 8. So they're a 1/2 inch wider, same diameter. The tire is actually the same exact size. I just got this set of Continentals all seasons, and it's a 225/40/18. So it's the exact same Saturn tire size, just on a slightly wider rim. And I think they fit the car really, really well. I did get the Opel center caps to just pop in there without an issue, and it does look pretty friggin' factory to me. And I think once I get the OPC bumpers and the side skirts, that's really gonna friggin' set it off and complete the look. Now the car is not lowered. That is something that I do plan on doing. I want to at least put a set of lowering springs on it. And just recently I came in here and installed, you're not gonna be able to see them, but I put new OEM front struts in. I got Opel ones from Rock Auto for like 55 bucks each, which was really good. I just reused these springs. Hopping inside the car, just last week, I finally put a sub in it. I had this under-seat unit for my pickup truck when I had it just sitting in storage. I got that hooked up to the aftermarket radio I already installed. And then I went and installed the dash cam here. This is that cross tour unit that I had originally bought for my Tahoe that didn't have parking mode. So all I did was install it in the Astra here. It doesn't have parking mode, but you know, I'm driving around. It is gonna record, so it's better than nothing. And I couldn't return it, so I figured I might as well install it in this car. And that dash cam is a front and rear unit, so I just mounted the rear camera right here. I took the boot off where the wiring passes through for the hatch release and the brake light and stuff. I just ran that through here under the headliner and into the front of the car, so it's a really clean install. The wire isn't gonna get kinked when the trunk closes. And yeah, I have front and rear dash cam on this thing. And one more thing that was kind of stupid, but I spent the money on it anyway. Opel coil cover, $125. So yeah, I saw this thing on eBay. Like I said, 125 bucks. Literally, it just has a printed Opel badge on it. Like the original one just says Ecotech, and it's just kind of centered, I think. This just had a little Opel badge on it, and I had to have it, and I had it shipped over from, I think, Lithuania. Oh, one other thing I did when I did the paint, I came up here and popped these trim rails off for the roof rack, and I painted them because they were all peeling, and I got some new caps because those were missing. So we'll take it for a quick drive. I'm gonna go run down to the garage. We'll go grab the Camaro. But this thing has pretty much been my go-to daily driver. So the Tahoe used to be, before I got this, I was driving the Tahoe every day. And the reason I got this car, not only because it's better on gas, but two reasons. I wanted to park in the city a lot easier because, you know, it's like half the size of the Tahoe, and obviously to save on gas. And the direction gas prices are going right now, obviously I've been driving this a little bit more. But not only that, I needed another car that I could daily for when I'm doing the build videos on the Tahoe. So I'm getting ready to finally jump into the brake video. So it's probably gonna be down for like a week or so, and I can't, especially now it's winter, I can't drive the Camaro, or the Trans Am's nowhere near running. So I needed something, you know, semi-reliable. I didn't want to get like a boring, just like a Honda Civic. And for the price I paid for this, you know, if I went and got a Civic, it would have been all rusted out. It would have had like 1 million miles on it. This thing, I put 10,000 miles on it so far. It's got 72. I bought it with 62. I paid $3,600 for it with 62,000 miles. My first car was a Saturn, and I wanted to get back into one, but I didn't, you know, all the original Saturns. Mine was a 99. They're just dinosaurs at this point. They have like 1 million miles on them. I didn't want to have something that I had to fix all the time. And I remember when these cars came out, when they were new, and I got my car in 09. This was, you know, brand new in 08, 09. And I always liked the styling of it. So I'm like, you know, let me look around, see what I could find. And it turns out I found this up in Massachusetts. $3,600 for a 62,000 mile car. It's an 08, you know, not that bad. I figured, why not go for it? You don't see a lot of them around. And so far, honestly, I've absolutely friggin' loved this thing. And it is not fast, not quick by any stretch of the imagination. It has like 125 horsepower. You hit 4,000 RPM, it kind of falls on its face, doesn't do much after that. Not a fast car, but I find myself kind of enjoying driving this more than the Camaro, just because it's a slow car that you could drive fast. You know, it handles actually incredibly well. And you know, it's quiet, you could push it more without making a scene, having everybody stare at you, because it's not like incredibly loud or anything. And I think that's what I love about it. And I am planning on turboing this thing eventually. When I get the time, I am going to do it. I'm gonna have to really kind of figure some stuff out, because I do need this thing to still pass New York plug-in OBD emissions. And with the whole Canvas thing, and it's not as simple as just getting a Cobalt turbo, throwing it on and tuning it, because with the Opel, the German computer, it's a whole nightmare apparently. But I am working on it, I am looking into it, and whenever I decide to pull the trigger on it, there will be a series on it. All right, so I know you guys haven't seen this thing for a while. It has a few minor issues, but she is still roadworthy, and I do still drive it. So now the issues this thing has, they're not crazy. It's just a bunch of little crap that I need to like take care of. That's all adding up to be like a bigger problem. So for one thing, my intercooler pump, it's sitting right here. There's currently no water in the tank. I'm not running on ice. It's like in the 40s now. I'm not pushing the car, so it doesn't matter too much. But what happened was I actually took this thing down to Atlantic City for a car show, just kind of last minute thing. Drove the car. Atlantic City from me is about, I think, 2 hours each way. So I took the car down there. On the way back, the IETs were high, and then we figured out we smelled like burning, and we realized the intercooler pump wasn't working. What happened was the bulkhead, the cooler tank in the back of the car, it has this cheap little plastic like speaker bulkhead where the wires pass through the tank. The whole thing was friggin' melted. Didn't blow the fuse somehow. And I pulled the pump out, I drained the tank, bench tested the pump, and the pump still works. So what I need to do is add another bulkhead. I'm probably just gonna put a little pass through, like with a gasket, and just hardwire the pump from inside the tank, pass it through, and then just, you know, hardwire it to the wiring going to the switch in the car. It doesn't really need to, you know, the tank is never gonna have to come out. The only reason the pump is gonna come out is if I'm replacing it, if it fails. The other problem I'm having, and this has been since the last track day, the brake pedal, for some reason, it just like runs out of travel. And I noticed this when I was doing burnouts. The brakes wouldn't hold the car back. And I don't know if you can hear, the booster is working, but it only goes down, the brake pedal only goes down about halfway, then it just hits a wall. Like, you could stand on it and you can actually feel the firewall pushing in. like it's a dead stop. I don't know if it's a problem with the master, the hydraulic system, or just the brake booster itself failed. It's the original booster from '86 as far as I know. But that is definitely something that I need to get fixed and is on the list. In addition to that, last track day, which I didn't make a video on, I don't know why. I guess just because the car didn't break the 9s, it wasn't that much progress. The fastest pass this car did in the last video, I think, was a 10.4. Well, the track day after that I didn't document, it ran a 10.2 at like 138, 139. So that's the fastest car it ever ran. That's the fastest pass it ever ran. And no doubt, it definitely should have a 9-second pass in it. But unfortunately, just we didn't have time to make it to the track again this year. So next time out is probably going to be in the spring. But after that last track day, when it did the 10.2, I came home, I took the drag setup off, and it turns out the studs on the rear axle are all friggin' twisted up. They're just like bent over on each other just slightly. When I took the wheel off, you could totally see it. So one more pass and I probably would have sheared all the rear studs off. So I got some 3-inch long, half-inch studs that I need to install, the pump, the brake thing. In addition to that, the 2-step, I have it hooked up now, but I want to hook it up to a clutch switch because I think that's what's going to, without a doubt, get me from that 10.2 break into the 9s, run a 9.9 or a 9.8, whatever, is having that 2-step hooked up correctly into the clutch. So I got all that stuff to wire it to a switch. And I think mechanically, that's pretty much it. There's a few other things I want to do. The interior on this thing, I want to completely redo. It has water coming in on the firewall, like when it rains and it sits outside. The driver's side footwell gets wet, the passenger side footwell gets wet, and there's a little kind of white fuzzy starting to grow on the carpet over there. I hit it with some Lysol once in a while. But this car is actually, after I make this video, that's it. You're not going to see it until probably this spring because I am going to put it, I got a separate little garage space for storage. I'm just going to park it in because I need the space in the work garage to work on the Tahoe this winter. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't really give you guys a super good pull with it because my IATs are already at 123. I got no water running through it, and it's not that warm out, so traction and summer tires, I want to make it to the end of this video. However, I will give you a little 2-step action here, being it is working. No popping, sounds super smooth. So yeah, I think we're good to go for a spring track day. All right, so as you can see, I did finally get over my fear of the 2-step. When I took it out to that car show in Atlantic City, I actually entered it in a little 2-step competition. I lost, but I was standing on that thing and absolutely no issues. She sounds smooth as hell. And you'll notice it doesn't like pop and backfire like it did with the MSD 2-step. And I don't think it's the actual 2-step itself because I am using the Holley, the Terminator built-in 2-step now. But I think the big difference is when I first put the car together with the blower with the 5.3 for the meth injection, even though I'm just running boost juice, the controller I was using is boost referenced. So when I was sitting on the 2-step at like 15 pounds at the track the day that I killed the 5.3, it was essentially just pumping full meth straight into the engine at like 2200 RPM, just whatever the nozzle would flow, it was pushing it all through. So I don't know if that was enough liquid to hydrolock the motor and bend the rods. I don't know if it was just the amount of torque that the thing made at like under 3 grand that it just bent the little dinky Gen 3 rods. I don't know. But since then, you guys remember I put, with this new setup, I put the injector, the pulse width referenced meth controller in there. So that's not a problem anymore. That paired with the Holley 2-step, you can hear it sounds super smooth. No more popping, no more backfiring. Can't wait to actually get this thing to the track because I have not used it with the 2-step yet. That 10.2 has been just me coming off of idle, stick shifting it with the drag setup. So that's why we're like, there's no way in hell this thing can't pull like a high 9 out of it. So right away, coming onto here, let's just address the gorilla in the room. This isn't a Kong blower. I know I didn't make a video on this either, but I needed this for the track. So this is the Kong 2650 lid. So it's literally, it's a dual pass lid, and this entire thing here is an intercooler. So with the LSA setup, we're just in the center here, there's a little radiator. This entire piece under here is a heat exchanger. So the air comes through at every single corner and gets cooled. And the reason I had to get that is because my IATs were just ridiculous once I changed the lower pulley with this setup. And with just the hood closed and everything, I couldn't get this thing to run freaking cool. The IATs were like 170 by the end of the track. So putting this on there, with a little bit of a smaller heat exchanger because I needed the room to put the air dam back in to fix my low speed cooling issues. It's a whole thing. I ended up getting that lid, and that to some extent fixed my problem until once again the last track day. So last track day, we take the car out the day it did the 10.2. First few passes, it does a 10.8, a 10.7, at 134, 133, we're like, what the hell's going on? The car's running slower by, it normally would trap like a 138 by like 4 or 5 miles per hour, and the time's down. So right away, we already had ice in the tank. James goes into the tune, he checks the data log, and the IATs were getting so high at the end of the track, it was pulling like 7 degrees at timing or something stupid like that because of how hot it was getting. So quick fix, he told me to pull the headlights. I ended up taking both of these headlights out, and I propped the stops up on the hood. So the hood was just like stupid above the fender. Put a little more ice in the tank, and that fixed it, and it ran the 10.2. So I need to either come up with a better way to get air in here, get a different hood, get some kind of hood vents. I need a way to get this air out from under the hood. And I'm also, I have the parts, I just have to do it. I'm gonna move the intake from in here down into the fender so it sucks, you know, not that blistering hot engine bay air into the motor. So hopefully that's gonna help as well. But yeah, that needs to be fixed along with the other stuff with the brakes and the, you know, the heat exchanger pump, stuff like that. The other big thing I've done, which I did not make a video on it, it has a new transmission in it. I did go ahead and get a T56 Magnum F. You're not going to be able to see it, but believe me, it is in there. And I went with the close ratio version. Just to get, you know, a little more traction in first. It has the longer first gear, and honestly, I didn't really notice a difference. I got 373s in the back of it. It still feels fast as hell, and yeah, that was the last big kind of expensive thing I did to it, was put that transmission in it. You'll see I got a TIC Performance shift knob now. I did get it through TIC. Came with the shift knob. And that is kind of where she's been. Like I said, I haven't really been making content on this because the interest kind of went down, but going into next year, once spring comes around, that's going to change as well. I'm kind of going back to the old ways I used to do things, where I just shoot what I'm working on. So if I'm doing something on this, normally I wouldn't make a video anymore on it, but I'm going to go back to it, and because I know there's a lot of the content's kind of all mixed around. A lot of you guys like the Tahoe, you like the Trans Am. A smaller amount of you like this car. You apparently like the Astra. So I'm gonna, you know, go back to that and just kind of throw a little bit of everything in there for whoever's interested. So now that I'm finally out of this flu funk BS that was going on, you can tell, look how freaking clean my hands are. I haven't touched a car in like 2 weeks. There's gonna be a few things going on next year. So for one thing, all the cars are going to be back. This thing, the Astra, the Trans Am, the Tahoe. The biggest thing, the Trans Am, I'm going to finally just dive headfirst into that car. I want to say the first quarter of next year. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm going to just grab the car by the horns and just pump out videos on it. Just kind of get the ball rolling, push as hard as I can, and really try to get that car running before spring, because I want it out of there. Because as far as third gen content goes, once that car is up and running, this thing, I want to kind of give it the same treatment I did the Trans Am. There's some rust I need to fix under the car in the back wheel wells. I want to just gut the interior, put new carpet. I got to fix the center console. I want to finally swap the steering wheel out. I want to pull the dash, do not only the rust repair, but the sound deadening, the heat barrier, everything I'm pretty much doing with the Trans Am's interior, I want to do on this car. Relocate the battery, the stereo wiring, all that stuff. So that's the plan for this car going into next year. And obviously, before I do that, though, we are going to hit it at the track in September, try to get a 9-second pass in it, because I don't think I'm actually going to pull it apart to do that stuff until it does make that 9-second pass. The Astra timing belt, once I get around to it sometime next year, that's probably the next time you can see that car, unless I spontaneously do another upgrade on it, but I will be sure to make a video on it. And then the Tahoe, you will be seeing that in this month, so we're going to be doing undercoating on it, because winter's right here. They haven't started spraying salt down yet, but I know it's coming. I want to get that frame cleaned up. We're going to do undercoating on it. I got a product I'm going to be trying out. We'll see how it works. We'll get it all, nicely coated under there to keep it from rusting or rusting more as far as the frame and the body goes. And then the brake upgrade is going to be coming. I didn't forget about it. I just been waiting on this friggin' powder coat. I got a powder coat to do all the calipers in. I did one as a test. It came out nice, but I hated the color. I got like this boring silver. It just didn't look like much, so I decided to go out on a limb, and I got like this electric color that I'm going to be doing the brakes in, so I think that's going to kind of look cool. And that, though, the brake upgrade's not too far out. We should see that probably early next year. And then from there, we are going to be boosting to heating next year. So yeah, once again, another reason to get the Trans Am out of the garage, because I do need that space. And once I finally get my ass moving to get the body work done, which, to be honest, it's probably not going to happen till the spring, just because winter's here anyway. I might paint a couple of things just to try out, see how the color matches in the garage. But just the temperature in the garage, it's all cinder block. Like, it's so friggin' damp in there. I don't think I'm going to get any great results, actually, like trying to paint the hood and stuff in there. So we might just fix the rocker, put the running boards back on, and then do the actual, like, paint work in the spring. But I promise I am going to do it. I am going to do it. I want to get that thing painted. It's just like, it has 244,000 miles on it. There's so much other stuff that it needs mechanically. It's like the paint is kind of like the last thing for me. I'd rather fix all that stuff and then take care of the paint last. So that's pretty much my plan for next year. Let me know what you guys are a fan of. Is it the Tahoe, the Trans Am, the Camaro, the Astra? Leave a comment down below. Leave a like if you want, and I'll see you in a few days.